Welcome, Legion. Today I want to talk to you guys about specific injury recovery time and how you can determine the recovery time that it's going to take to get back from an injury. Firstly, we want to see an injury sometimes as an opportunity. They suck, no matter how hard we work in the gym or on the track to prepare ourselves for our sport. Sometimes they just happen, we get unlucky. But instead of getting lost and discouraged, we need to see this as an opportunity. There's an opportunity from these situations to get better in other areas and make improvements that potentially might help us in the future to reduce that risk of injury again, or even work on areas that we might not have been able to work on prior. The next thing we need to do is seek help. So we need to get the right help from the right people. First point of call for me most of the time is going to be a physiotherapist. We're using our physios, and then from there the physio can also determine what other help they might need. So they might need a sports doctor's help, they might need a specialist help, and they will likely need the help of a strength and conditioning coach to help with that return to performance, return to play, rehabilitation process. So the timeframes obviously depend on the injury, and we use timelines as a bit of a guide. Now there is obviously different healing times for different tissues. So muscles have about a 7 to 21 day healing capacity depending on the severity of the grade. Tendons take a little bit longer, potentially up to 12 weeks. And then bones can also be very similar, depending whether it's an upper limb or a lower limb. It depends on the time of the healing. Healing is only one part of the injury though. Most injuries don't heal stronger than when they were before. Bones would somewhat be the exception here, but what can happen with a bone injury is because you have to immobilize the area and the joint and the muscles around that bone, we get a fair bit of wastage around that area. So the bone might be healed, but now the soft tissues that help support that bone and that skeletal structure now might be seriously deconditioned, so we have to spend some time reconditioning those things. So I think unfortunately a lot of people view an injury and look at like, how long is this going to take, and then they just rest and they just wait for that injury to recover. Now that's going to be great because we do need this repairing phase, but if you return straight to sport after that without doing any rehabilitation, you are now going to be at a greater risk of re-injury or even getting another injury. And then unfortunately, if you keep doing this process, you're going to get into this constant loop of just getting injured, healing, play, injured, healing, play. So ideally what we need to do, once we get injured, the first phase is going to be this repair and healing phase. So there is time where we do need to let the affected area actually heal. Having said that though, rarely do we get unlucky and have multiple areas of injury. We roll an ankle, that's one area. We do an ACL, that's only one knee. We have 3 other limbs in a trunk that can still be worked out really hard. And we get really great carryover from working out those areas as well, so that when we do get a chance to work the affected area again and start that rehabilitation process, your body is kind of adapted to the hard training that you've been doing. Plus, we don't want to decondition these other areas. If you have a lower limb injury, it's a great time to get a strong and build your upper body up. If we have an upper body injury, it's a great time to build the legs. So this is what I mean by we need to seek these opportunities. This is how we can build other areas. So once we've kind of gone through this repair and healing phase, and the physio, sports doctor, the person that's helping us with this plan, this rehabilitation plan, they now can determine, right, we need to work on some specific rehab exercises. All right, and then from there, we're going to integrate, once we've done a period of our specific rehab exercises to build that area back up, we're going to then start to integrate back into training. We don't want to just jump straight in, and this integration could mean going just even the light running, building some agility, building some speed, and we just keep building until, okay, we feel pretty comfortable that you can go back and do a little bit of training, do a little bit of sport-specific training, right, and then we slowly build that up until we get to full training. And then ideally, depending on the total time of the injury, we're going to spend a period of time doing some full training, unrestricted. And then once we've kind of committed to that and completed a few of those full training sessions, and we feel comfortable and we're using the advice of our physio and our sports doctor, then we can return to sport. And this is the big part that the S&C can also play a big role in, is determining whether someone is actually ready to return to sport. And we like to classify this not just as return to sport, but return to performance. So ideally, we want you returning either within 90% of where you were before, or even better again. We can use our goals and our targets for this return to performance. So if we've got pre-injury data, we can use this as some metrics to like, okay, cool, we know that you've done enough. You're hitting good strength targets. You're hitting really good conditioning targets. You've completed lots of full training. The thing we don't really want to do here is just go purely off injury recovery time. Like I said before, we don't want to use this idea of like, I'm just going to rest it, and doc said it takes 3 weeks for this to heal, and then jump straight back in. We're going to use this process that I just described: repair and heal, specific rehab, integration, return to sport. Now we can start from the very top and work our way backwards in regards to what that plan looks like. But ideally, this process is what determines our timeline. So it's less about the pure healing of the injury, which is a part of the process, but it's more about, once it's injured, how long will it take me to get back to my very best to actually be able to return to sport and be at a very low risk of re-injury or injuring another body part. Hopefully that was helpful, guys. Thanks for that.